Got it.
So we're doing another interview, and today I got Jesse Chisum, the writer and creator of Aether from Covenant Comics. Jesse, thanks for coming on, man. Really appreciate it.
Howdy, man. I'm glad to be here.
So, whenever I do these interviews, I kind of start off like, what got you into comics? Like, did you grow up reading comics? Was there anything in particular that you were interested in growing up that has kind of inspired you to get into comics, or?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny story. Back when I must have been like fourth grade, I think, I was real bad at reading. It was more so just like I didn't feel like reading. I was a very lazy kid. So my mom would stick me with my sister-in-law, who, she would tutor kids and stuff like that. And so she would try and encourage me to read. I was real big into the Sonic video games back then and whatnot. And so she had like a book and she's like, all right, for every like 50 pages you finish, I'll give you a Sonic comic. She had bought like 10 of them for like $10, real cheap. And so like that encouraged me to read because I wanted to see what was in these. I'd heard of comic books before and whatnot, but I'd never actually held or owned a comic book. So like I started reading through the pages like crazy and actually started reading books and whatnot just so I could have these comic books. So that's probably when it got started. But that was just like Sonic comics and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, eventually just down the line, I picked up DC comics and whatnot in high school and just became obsessed with certain characters. And yeah.
And which ones in particular were like the first Marvel DC heroes you got into?
Um, you can't see it here, but I've got an entire shelf of Lobo stuff, just
Oh
like
yeah.
everything Lobo. I've got like the first appearance signed of everything. I'm obsessed with Lobo, Lobo, Lobo.
So that's your guy. I
Oh
can
yeah,
kind of see the inspiration with Aether a little bit. It's kind of like that
yeah.
big, bulky kind of character. Oh,
Oh
that's
yeah.
interesting. So you were saying, the Sonic comics. Like I have a buddy that, he also like those were like his first comics that he read. But
Hmm.
did you see that movie? Did you like that movie that came out? I never
Yeah.
saw it actually, but the second one looks cool. So
Second one does look cool, and I'm upset about that. Me and JD went to go see that first movie because we wanted to talk. Back then, we had like a podcast in 2020, and so we
yeah.
wanted to bring that up on the podcast. So we kind of forced ourselves to go watch it, and we genuinely enjoyed it. We gave it like a nice C+ rating and whatnot. But
C
we're both,
plus.
yeah,
Dang. No, no. I mean, I always played like the Sonic games. I never read any of those comics, but I always like Knuckles. So when I saw Knuckles, I was like, oh man, I'm into that. That'll be cool. So I gotta watch the first one. I never saw it, so I'll probably watch it sometime and then watch this next one. But I was talking to JD, and I know like the general story about Covenant Comics, how like it's you know the universe created at a lunch table. Like I think
yeah.
that's so cool. You guys have been friends for a while. So what was your like perspective? Like how did this that story of Covenant like come to be?
A lot of trial and error, I guess.
Yeah.
We in high school, it was like a group of us. We were all really obsessed with our characters and creating like worlds and stuff like that, pitting our imaginary characters against DC and Marvel characters and whatnot. And we had worked on it. We had like an idea of what our characters were back in high school, but as we left high school, we just kind of stopped thinking about it. And me
Yeah.
and JD, we were still friends throughout, when we both left high school, but we hadn't talked as much. And then it was one day I was driving to school or driving to college. I was going to an English class that I hated, couldn't stand that English class. But as I was driving there and sitting in that English class, I would start like doodling and stuff like that or thinking about other stuff. I was my comic book character had been on my mind like that whole week. And so I'd started like really hashing it out and stuff like that. And I was like, because at that point I still didn't have a name for it. The appearance of him had changed like 18 times. And so I'd started like writing stuff down while I was in that class. And once I got out of that class, I immediately messaged JD like, "Hey man, do you remember your character at all? Like, do you still remember it? Do you still care about all that stuff?"
Yeah.
And he had messaged me back and he was like, "I was just thinking about that this week. I was just thinking about my character and how I wanted to bring it back and, actually
Wow.
go into that." And so we had immediately, like, we were already, buddy buddy at that point, but then we started talking like every single day. about
Right.
our
Yeah.
characters and whatnot. And yeah,
That's
eventually
awesome.
Covenant formed again, or reformed, I guess.
It's awesome how there was like some kind of hive mind going on. Like you
Yeah.
guys were both kind of thinking about it. That's interesting. But where did Ether come from? Like, what was like, the inspiration for that? Obviously, you said Lobo was,
Oh yeah.
kind of I think big inspiration on you. But like, where did that story come from in that character? Where are the origins of that?
Hmm, that's a good one. I guess if we're talking like inspired by, I could say appearance wise, just like everything Ether is, like his appearance, his personality
Yeah.
is the Scotsman from Samurai Jack.
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
if you're
Okay.
familiar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like a really kind of big, loud Scotsman who like he's big and he knows it. He's strong and he knows it. Just kind of like that bravado kind of deal. So that was definitely a huge inspiration for that. Story wise, like stuff that inspired me and kind of helped form Ether. I'd say a lot of the Hellboy stuff, just kind of like that
Oh,
tapping
yeah.
into that mythos kind of deal, that demons and
Yeah.
chupacabras from Wendigos and stuff like that. I love all that kind of stuff. Um, so that was kind of like the basis, I guess, of what inspired me. But then, the usual stuff that inspires everyone: Batman, vigilante stuff, all that. But I would say like when it comes to like the true like story and the kind of stuff that Ether fights, Hellboy is definitely an inspiration. Even
I could see
now,
that now. Like the
yeah,
the one side is, kind of like
exactly.
that's cool.
The rock hand.
It's all coming together now. Like it all makes sense. The thing that I really like about Ether is just like the elemental powers. Like he kind of changes, and I like how even in, not to get into big spoilers, but I like how he kind of has favorites. Like which
Yeah,
I really liked that part. It was cool. Like, oh, this one's kind of crazy. This one, I can kind of control this. As of right now, I've only read the first issue, but I really like what you've done with that character. Like, it's
I'm
really cool,
glad.
and I'm excited to
Thank
see
you.
what you do next. No, it's awesome. So, what do you have planned? Like, I know there's two issues out right now. Like, what
Yeah,
do you have? How far out do you have planned, like, for the story?
not that far. If I'm
Really?
being
So
honest
it's
with
like
you,
a bite at a time, kind
pretty
of a thing.
much. It's JD could tell you that I procrastinate a lot until JD
Yeah.
like starts yelling at me like, write the next issue, write the next issue. I'm like, fine, fine, I'll write the next issue. Uh, so issue three is kind of planned out. I gotta obviously work on the like the details and stuff that I have to give to my artist. Right now, what we're working on, and this is I don't think we've made this announcement at all yet on any platform. We're working on a bit of a remaster of issue one, the thing you just read.
Oh yeah. Yep.
um, so to not like get super into it, but just kind of explain myself. Issue one, I love it. I love the art. I love David Sharonik. He's amazing. He was the artist. By the time I got to issue two, though, I wanted to tap into a different kind of art style, and I had found Santiago. I hope I get this right. Baquin. I think that's how it's said. Um, that's the artist for issue two, and his art was just such a like that. I like the more cartoony kind of style, the exaggerated features and stuff like that. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what Santiago had and whatnot. And Santiago became obsessed with Ether and the character, uh, and so I had wanted to have the art style stay the same throughout. So like I had brought Santiago on board, and I was like, all right, I want this guy to do issue three, four. I want to keep him around. So I wanted to go back though and redo the first issue. Just not that I didn't like the art style of the first issue. Like I said, I love David Tronick. I love his art. I just wanted it to stay consistent. I wanted someone to pick up the first book, flip through it, and then the second book is the exact same art.
Yeah.
And so this should look a little familiar to you. And let me see. I've never used Zoom before, so I'm
Yeah. You should be
a
able to
little
share.
rusty. Is that working?
Yeah. Yep.
All
I can
right.
see it.
So yeah, that's page, I want to say it's 15 is when he just gets or wakes up with his powers and whatnot. So this is part of the remastered book.
Oh wow.
And so Santiago's having a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, that
and
looks
just
great.
going crazy with all the art.
I know it,
Yeah.
yeah, I can see what you mean. Like the it's very like cartoony.
Yeah.
Everything's very exaggerated. Everything like pops. Like, the original artist was great too, but this is like I see what you mean. Like, wow, this is gonna be great.
So yeah, there's that little taste for you.
So that first one would be kind of like the Ash Can edition, like almost like the original, the original version kind of. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's awesome. I think that's great. Um, so where did you get the like elemental side of it? Like, where was it originally going to be just one kind of power, one kind of feature to it, or was it just kind of,
Oh,
oh, I
dude.
can? I was just curious.
No, yeah, I get you. Definitely like Avatar inspired, that kind of stuff. I'll say that off the bat.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Um, but to not get like super into it, Aether, when it started out, like we were talking about, like in high school and stuff like that, Aether was like a bald dude in a trench coat who couldn't speak. He was mute and he had a hammer.
Really?
So it went from that to what we have now. Basically, for the longest time, he was like a cyborg that he could like heat up his arm really good. He could electrically charge his arm, or he
Yeah.
could
Okay.
ice his arm or whatever and stuff. It just kept like evolving, and I think that happens with any character
Oh,
really.
totally.
You have like this first idea, and then you just keep evolving it and sometimes you just scrap the character. Like
Yeah.
that's just all part of the process. But yeah, he was kind of supposed to be, or he is supposed to be like the Superman of the group. He's the heavy hitter kind of deal when it comes to our Covenant universe. Um, so once I got to the point of using elements, it was supposed to be all the four elements, and he would just kind of switch between them, so he wouldn't be like super overpowered. He can only do one at a time. But yeah, it was supposed to be like he does use the four of them, but yeah.
I don't know why, but when I first was reading that first issue, my initial thought was like, man, what if like he went to like another planet or something? It went cosmic, and then like his powers changed. You know what I mean? Like something crazy. Like, I
That'd be
don't know. It
pretty
was just
cool.
like kind of a crazy idea, but no, I love the look of him. Like, I don't know, like being a redhead. Like, I'm always drawn to redhead characters. Like my
That's
favorite
awesome.
hero is like Wally West, the Flash,
Hell yeah.
like Guy Gardner. Like I love characters like that. So no, yeah, he definitely, for me personally, he stood out. Like, and he's cool. And no, I'm really glad we're talking now. But do you read any other like comics? Any like current comics? Do you go to a comic shop or?
Um, I'm real behind on all my comics. I still go to the comic book store, pick
Yeah,
up some
JD said the
stuff.
same thing. He was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, I'm backed up," but
JD's
he's
real backed up. He's got piles of stuff he needs to read.
yeah,
Right now I'm not reading too much. I'm collecting the Superman versus Lobo series that DC has going right now.
okay,
And I started picking up the new Venom with Eddie Brock's kid, just like
okay,
stuff like that.
yeah,
Um, I think I only picked up that one because as Eddie Brock or his kid, I can't remember his name, as Venom is like a
Dylan Brock,
gigantic Venom. He's
yeah,
like this huge Venom. I think I just in general like huge characters, like just
yeah,
really tall characters.
okay,
And I think that's kind of why Ether is the way that he is. He's 7 foot tall, is
yeah,
because I just really like tall characters.
yeah.
But yeah,
Did you read the last Venom run, the Donny Cates run?
no, I didn't.
Oh, dude, you got to check that out. Like, I mean, I've heard mixed things about the current one, but the
Mm,
Donny Cates run that was before that, probably the best Venom run like
yeah,
ever in a way. Yeah, like the stuff with like King and Black.
right.
No, you've probably seen stuff about it, but
Oh yeah,
honestly, like I never really cared much about Venom. Like I liked Spider-Man the Black Suit, but like reading this run was like, wow, I really like Venom now, and Venom is now like one of the most powerful heroes in the Marvel universe.
it's true.
You should check it out. I mean, I think you would like it. But what? So you must watch the MCU, DC movies.
Oh
You
yeah.
you keep up with all that? Are you more of a DC guy, a Marvel guy?
I don't watch any of the CW shows. I can tell you that when it comes to DC stuff.
Good choice. Yeah.
All right, good. Thank God.
I check out the Flash. I'm always like kind of far behind, but the Flash is my favorite character. I've read every issue since 86. So like,
Oh damn.
yeah, that's like the one character where I feel like I'm like kind of like an expert with it. Like I almost watched that Flash show just to like give it like a hard critique. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Like,
get you.
yeah. So like, I have a lot of like the key Flash issues, and I have like every Flash like graphic novel that there is.
Goodness.
So I don't know. It just collector, like kind of like you with Lobo. That's me
Right.
with the Flash. But so you going back to what we were saying, you bought you see the DC movies, Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Are you caught up on the MCU?
Yeah, I just saw No Way Home on Thursday night.
What did you think?
Without spoiling anything, I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved it. I think everyone loved it, but I also think a lot of hype carried it and whatnot.
a lot of hype and a lot of nostalgia. I feel like
Yeah.
if you go into that movie and you just watch like the MCU, you've never seen the Tobey Maguire movies or the Andrew Garfield
Mhm.
movies. It's kind of it's not going to hit you the same way. Like for me,
Exactly.
I left the movie and I was like, yes. Like I remember like I got home, I went with my brother and my girlfriend, and my girlfriend usually always has something to say about every movie we watch, especially the superhero movies.
Mhm.
This was the first time she never had anything bad to say about like a movie.
Wow.
So I was like, damn. Like I was like really like, because like as soon as the credits start to hit, I'm like, oh, she's gonna have something's gonna be wrong with it. But at the same time, she was like cheering during the movie, like during the big moments. So it was like,
Yeah.
dang. But no, I remember I got home, we're going to bed, and I actually woke up in the middle of the night, almost like in a panic, like thinking like, did we actually see that movie? Like it was like, what the fuck? He was like,
Right?
what?
It felt like a
Crazy.
dream almost. Like
I remember
how stuff
like,
came together.
yeah, it was like I don't know. It's like I couldn't. There was one person I've talked to that was like disappointed, and I'm like, how could you be disappointed with that movie? Like, if you're a fan, it delivered in so many ways. Like, what more did you want? Like, I don't know.
Exactly.
It was just, but and Hawkeye, you caught up with Hawkeye? You watching that?
Yeah, just finally I'm forcing myself to watch that show if I'm
You
being
don't like it?
honest.
You don't like it?
I don't hate it. It's just with every Marvel movie, and I've explained this to JD and Bear, with every Marvel movie, there's the cheesy kind of hammed up comedy, and then there's like the nice actiony, dark, gritty stuff. And in this, it's like when they were doing it, they just like drowned it in that cheesy comedy. Like every single scene has like that goofy kind of like haha
Yeah,
kind of deal going on. I love it. I love it when they're firing arrows and stuff like that. I'm loving the
yeah,
characters. But yeah, it's just so like the comedy is they need to back up a little bit.
yeah. It's like I don't know. If you go to like the first Iron Man movie, like those comedic bits in that movie,
Hmm.
they were like, okay, we're gonna throw this into all our movies going forward. Like,
Exactly.
and I get it, if it works. And I don't know, Marvel's kind of built a thing where like they really, even like the movies that aren't big hits, it's still gonna stick the landing somehow. Like it's crazy. Like Eternals, I bought the first appearance of the Eternals thinking it was gonna be like, okay, this might be like the next big movie. It was all right. Like I was like, but yeah, like it's weird how that movie still stuck the landing, even though like people weren't freaking out over it. I don't
Yeah.
know, but the Batman, I couldn't be more excited for that movie. Like
Oh
that's
man,
it's like I think we're due for like a proper like Batman, a new trilogy. You know what I mean?
that'd be nice. That'd be
Do you
real
like?
nice.
Are you a big Batman fan? Do you like
Oh yeah.
the that? Yeah, you seen all the movies? Probably read some of the comics.
Oh yeah. I've just got the trade paperbacks or the volumes and stuff like that. But yeah, I like the movies. Wasn't a huge fan of Batman versus Superman stuff like that.
Really?
Wasn't
You didn't like it?
No, I don't know if it was the Batman itself. It was, I don't know. It's kind of unique having a Batman that was so far along, I guess, because that was like a
Yeah,
Batman who had already gone through it all. And it was good, but like, because I wanted that. I'm tired of like the origin stuff, although I'm really
right.
excited for the Batman. Uh,
Yeah,
but yeah, I kind of wanted a movie that took place, years after he's already been doing this kind of stuff, but and that's exactly what those movies did, but it just didn't really deliver. It didn't really, no,
yeah.
wasn't a huge fan.
I don't know, man. I like Ben Affleck's Batman. Like, if you look at like the Batman animated series and like you see Bruce Wayne in that, I feel like that's like the perfect casting from my point of view. I don't know, but
Fair enough.
I think I don't know. I feel like they kind of put themselves in a hole, like you said, with like kind of like a Batman that was so far along. It was like,
Hmm.
well, what villains does he even have left? That's my phone. I hate when that phone goes off. I don't even know why I still have this phone. It plays like in every interview I've done. I've had to mute my mic, but
Was it from the
um,
50s? What's going on with it?
my dad,
The
my dad was a
roller?
phone man. It's yeah. I don't even know why we have a house phone. It's my dad works for AT&T, so it's like, oh yeah, I don't know, but no one answers it. It just rings. It's so. This is the first time I've addressed it on an interview too. It's, I'm surprised no one said anything, but yeah, it's like,
I like it.
but, yeah, but um, oh, I don't even know what I was talking about.
We're talking
Oh,
about Batman.
yeah. I wanted to ask you this because I'm curious what you say. If you were going to make an Ether movie,
Oh
who
gosh.
who would you cast as the lead? Who's going to play Ether?
See, I don't know, man. There's not too many actors that stand out to me that are like, oh, like obviously you can do stuff with like, you know, CGI or trick of the camera, but like, there's not too many gigantic actors, like seven
Right.
foot tall actors. But they
Yeah.
wouldn't need to be 7 feet. And it's like, anyone can kind of put on a Scottish accent.
Right.
Um, Originally, whenever I would think about it, although he's getting a little too old, but I prefer him to be younger, I guess. But I think it's Rory. Let me look it up before I mess it up. I think it's Rory McLean. Rory, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Rory McCain, who plays the Hound in Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Just that kind of. He's this giant dude. He's from Scotland, and he's used to having half of his face have like makeup and effects on it. So that one
Yep.
always kind of stood out to me. If
Oh, okay.
not, if it was like an animated movie, then John DiMaggio, who voices Bender, Jake the dog, and who voiced the Scotsman. He's absolutely who I'd want to play. Although I don't know if he would ever do like a live thing, but he does
Yep.
kind of have the face for Ether.
Okay. No, that's cool. I wish I asked the other guys that, because I don't know. You create a character and you kind of have an idea of like who what this character might be like in real life in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like it's an imaginary character, but it's like it's real to you in a way. So you kind of
Hmm.
everyone has like a voice of like who they hear.
Right.
Um, me and my two friends, we made a comic in the pandemic, and it's so weird. Like we made this character that's covered from like head to toe, but for some reason when we were going along with it, I was like, I feel like Keanu Reeves would be this character. It's so weird. He has like the long, like black hair and the
Hmm.
same kind of beard. So like it's weird. Like we never said it, but like literally like when we did the reveal of the character, that's what he looked like. And it was like, did we ever talk about this? Like it was just like it looks just like him. Like I don't know. It's funny. So um
It's just in the
yeah,
back
no,
of your head the whole time.
yeah, if I talk to the other guys again, I'll probably have to ask them that. I'm curious what they would say.
I think I can. Yeah, obviously you'd have to ask them, but for Bear, I think he said the dude, the taller brother from Supernatural.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't remember. I don't know any of their names.
Is he the long haired guy? Which guy?
Uh,
Because I know
what are their names?
Jensen Ackles is
Sam.
in that, but I've never watched Supernatural, so
Hang on. Bear's probably freaking out watching this. Like, you're not getting it right. Uh, Yeah, Sam Winchester, Jared
Oh yeah.
Pacadella. That's who he had originally said. I don't know if that's still the same.
Oh,
And for
okay.
JD's gone through like 8 different actors on who he'd want to play Crossbones. The most
Oh,
recent
so you
one
guys
is
have
some
talked
dude.
about this.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
dude. Like we talk about
Okay.
all this kind of ridiculous stuff all the time. Like just like if we had the budget one day kind of deal. Uh
Oh man,
JD was obsessed when The Mandalorian came out. He wanted Pedro Pascal to do it
that would be
so
great.
bad.
Actually, that would actually be great.
It would be pretty great. He's just a tad old
Yeah,
for
he's getting a little too
Crossbones.
old, but no,
Now it's
that'd
some
be
dude
cool.
from Narcos. I don't know who.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So, are you a big Star Wars fan? You like Star Wars?
Not in the slightest, if I'm being
Really?
honest. I
Oh
know.
wow. Have you ever
I
seen them?
just I've seen them. It's just it never really interested me. I was never really about like the force and all that kind of stuff. It was just kind of I like the lightsaber battles and stuff, but all like the extended lore, all this and that, the bringing
Yeah.
balance and stuff like that, it never really interested me. But the Mandalorian, I'm obsessed with it. I love it because it
Oh, you
was
like
just
that?
like,
Okay.
yeah, it was everything like it was like only the bits of Star Wars I liked. It was literally like space bounty hunter. It was just like space cowboy in a sense. It was
Yeah.
just it they dropped kind of like they still brought up the force and stuff like that, but it was literally just, he'd go do some mission, get money. It was
Yeah.
just very like I don't know. I
It was like a
loved it.
Western. Like it was like a
Exactly.
Clint Eastwood style kind of Star Wars. Like my
Exactly.
dad was asking me about that, and I was like, he likes Clint Eastwood films and all that, and I was like, if you like Clint Eastwood films and you somewhat like Star Wars, you'll love this. He still hasn't
Absolutely.
watched it, but yeah, I got
Oh.
into it. But no, I mean, it's always interesting because like I feel like when you talk to most people, like everyone's like, "Oh, I love Star Wars," or like,
Hmm.
they're like, "Oh yeah, I like Star Wars," but they only like the originals. So, but I can understand like why someone might not like it. But what always interests me about it is it has sci-fi. It has like the samurai kind of
Hmm.
lore to it. It has like a almost an Arthurian legend to it. The swords and all that. It just
Right.
something about it. But for me particularly, it was like the blend of it's like samurai stuff and sci-fi. It was like, oh, this is great. I love it. But
I
yeah, it's not
get
for
you.
everybody.
Yeah, I don't dislike it. It never
Yeah.
interested me.
Did you ever like were you ever into Star Trek or anything like that?
No.
That's such a like like rarely hear people talking about Star Trek, but my uncle is like the biggest Star Trek fan, and I've like kind of learned things through him, and I'm still like, yeah, I still like Star Wars a lot more. He'll never hear this, but yeah, no, yeah, I like Star Wars a lot more.
Be knocking at your door.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah. So, what else are you into, man? Besides from comics, like what are your passions? What are you interested in?
Oh gosh. I like video games, I guess.
Oh yeah, Xbox,
It's usually
PlayStation.
all of them, honestly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm not really divided on any of them. Although I will say I think the only reason I ever play PlayStation is because of the exclusives. So like
Oh yeah.
Spider-Man and stuff like that, I have to play those games.
Yeah. Oh my. Yeah. That game was great. The Miles Morales expansion was cool too.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited for the next one. It'll be good.
Be nice seeing Venom and whatnot, how they play with that.
Oh yeah. I'm kind of curious. It could be a good thing or a bad thing because it kind of almost seems like they're gonna have Harry Osborn be
Yeah.
Venom in there. And I don't know how I feel about that, but
It's a unique take. I like it.
yeah. I don't. Did you see they announced like a Wolverine game too?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That so Wolverine's like my favorite Marvel character. Like I
Okay.
love Wolverine. I always liked him even aside from like the movies and all that. He was just always cool to me. He like just like him fighting the Hulk and all that. Like Wolverine solo comics are kind of like the original stuff is the best.
Hmm.
But I always liked him in the X-Men. Like I always thought he was cool. Like so I'm excited for that game. Like I don't know, you're probably gonna check that out when it comes out, I'm
Oh yeah.
assuming. Yeah,
Absolutely.
there's so many things they could do with that. Like I just don't hope I hope it's not like Spider-Man where it's like in a city. Like I hope there's like a lot of different locations. Like it could be, I think in a way that could be better than the Spider-Man game if they do it right.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Use like a
so
motorcycle to get around.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I would love that. Like some people were like, "Oh, you should set it in Japan." I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be cool," but I kind of want some country like kind of woodland environments. Like he could like scale trees or something. That'd be
Yeah.
cool. But yeah, there's a lot they could do with that for sure. Um, so what do you like the most about Covenant, or where do you see Covenant going in the future
Ooh.
with you guys? Do you have any idea? I meant to ask this to the other guys too, but yeah, what do you think of Covenant? What do you think Covenant could be from your point of view?
That's a good question. I obviously we want to just keep going. We want to keep like advancing, making more comics and whatnot. We'd like to bring, eventually more people on board, but we're very kind of shy to do that kind of stuff now.
Right.
Uh, but yeah, just bring in more characters. I don't know how frequently we've talked about it, but I guess the goal would be to reach the the stabilizers. That's what we call our Avengers or Justice League. It's the
Oh, okay.
stabilizers. So that's like kind of like crossover stuff.
Yeah.
That would be like that's for me. Like if we can reach that in like the next 5 years or something, that'd be incredible. Even if it's not like stabilizer stuff, but just like Aether crossing over with crossbones and stuff like that. Just doing
Yeah.
like a one shot and whatnot. Or I know we've planned out stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think we have like the whole story for Aether and Burlap crossover planned out. Uh, I don't know what's stopping us. I feel like we could just do that whenever. uh,
I feel like Burlap will be the hardest one to cross over.
yeah.
Yeah, because I think Burlap. What I like about Burlap is how like grounded it is,
Hmm.
and I don't know. It's in the art style is you know
Oh yeah.
insane. I think that artist is great on that book.
Zoran.
Yeah, and I mean Ether. I feel like the color is what makes it so like I couldn't imagine Ether in Burlap. I don't know. I don't know, maybe you won't like hearing that, but I
No,
don't
I
know.
totally get it. I mean,
Yeah,
it
they're
would
all
be
just
weird
like
to
different
see
in
them in
their
each
own way.
other's styles.
Yeah, like
They,
I don't know. It would be crazy. Like I don't even know how to explain it, but like to get the artists like on board, so like the character is in that book in their respective
in
art
their own
style.
style.
Yeah, like that'd be so crazy. It'd be like what, like
that'd be that'd be interesting. That'd be
so
hard to do.
so it's Covenant started off with just you in JD, and then you got Jesse Bear in there. What was that like when he joined? Was it like
Uh, for me, it was like a little nerve wracking. I'm very in our little group of three people. I'm like super introverted. I'm like a hermit when it comes to like social media
that's what
stuff.
they?
So I'm
Yeah,
constantly like I'm avoiding that kind of stuff. It's not that I love the community. I absolutely love the community, but I'm just very shy about that kind of stuff. I'm never really getting out there talking to people and stuff like that. I leave that to JD and Bear. So when he was talking about potentially bringing him on, it was funny because Barrett actually messaged us
yeah,
about hopping on, and he was kind of talking with me about it. And he's like, "Well, I'll go talk to him." And so then JD started talking to Bear, messaging Bear, and they kind of like became, buddy buddy. And I was like, I don't know. And I was a little nervous and stuff like that, but after like a week of actually talking to him, getting to know him and whatnot, it clicked immediately. It was just like, nope, yep, we need him. He's perfect.
yeah, yeah. No,
And
he's a
he's,
nice guy. He's a
oh
really
yeah,
nice guy. I enjoyed talking to him. I talked to him for a long time. I think I talked to him for almost like 2 hours.
goodness.
We talked on recording for an hour, and then we talked just off and just we're bullshitting for like another hour. Oh,
I
he's a
see.
really nice guy. And it's awesome that like you guys all like kind of clicked and you all have like your own thing that you bring to the table.
Oh yeah.
I can understand when that'd be kind of nerve wracking because it's like, oh, who's this guy? What's
Right.
but no, he's great, and he brought such an interesting, different character
Oh
and
yeah.
almost a different genre to it. where
That's really
you
what we
know,
needed.
yeah, no, it's great. It's awesome. Um, what else was I gonna say? I had something else I was gonna ask you. I can't remember it, but
That's all good.
another thing. I hope I can get all three of you guys on and we can have a big discussion all together. I don't know if you've announced it, but the Year of the Covenant,
Oh
that
yeah.
comic.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
so when you guys do that, I definitely want to get you guys all on and we'll chat all together. I think that'll be great.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
but hey, man, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I really like Ether. I'm gonna have links in the description. Anyone that wants to check out Ether, it's great. So it has my seal of approval. I like it. I like the character. It's great. I'm looking forward to what happens next. But yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
oh, dude, no, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. This is the first time I've ever kind of done like an interview setting, so this was awesome. I
Oh,
appreciate you.
really?
Yeah, you made it super easy, and
Oh,
I had a
thanks. Yeah,
blast doing it. I can't wait to have all of us on for the Year of the Covenant.
yeah, it'd be great. All right,
I'll
man.
bring that up with them. All right,
You have a good one, bud.
you as well. Appreciate it.